Bonjour everyone, my name is Noah and welcome to my channel. I want to start this video by saying happy Pride Month. I'm super excited. I know that this month of June is a little different from the other years because this confinement and all the parades being canceled, but I wanted to do something a little special. So I decided that I was going to film a Pride series for my channel, all LGBTQ plus issues and experiences related content. And the first video in this series is one that I've been talking about filming for a while now, and it's my coming out story. So I really hope I don't ramble. I did write my thoughts down on my phone to try and not forget anything or get the events mixed up, but I'm just gonna be telling you guys my story, which I wanna start by saying it is a very positive one. I was surrounded by acceptance and love and support at every step of the way. Most of the issues that I had were related to, I guess, self-acceptance and had to do with my own mind. To make sense of it, I'm gonna start as early as elementary school. That was like the first step in the process, which was probably the most difficult one for me because I felt like people and other kids in elementary school knew that I was into guys before I even did. When I was a kid, I was always super artistic, would hang out with only girls, wore super colorful clothes. I was into school, like I loved classes, I hated sports and soccer. And so the name calling, I guess, started really early. I just remember being in recess and having the kids my age or even older calling me a girl or calling me gay. I don't even think I knew what that meant at the time, but it definitely started to have a negative connotation, I guess, in my mind. Fast forward a few years, I had some really strong and beautiful relationships with girls. I think the thought that I was attracted to men was always there somewhere, and people were still calling me gay or it, but I didn't really feel the need to dig into it in my own mind because I was super happy, felt complete. I was just in a relationship and happy like that. And that was true up until the end of high school. So that's when I met one guy who was probably the most beautiful man I had ever seen at the time. I didn't know what his sexuality was. I didn't think I was attracted to him that way. I just thought he was beautiful, and we started talking and really hit it off. It was the kind of like friendship at first sight kind of thing, or I guess that's what I thought at the time. So I'm gonna save you the details of that story, but it turns out that he was indeed gay and that I was into him in a way that was way more than friendship and that it was reciprocal, and we ended up dating for almost 3 years while neither of us were out. At the beginning of our relationship, I still struggled a lot with the idea that I could be into men. I was just super confused. I would like text him 24/7 and be super happy and super excited about him, and then I would like try to say that my feelings were not attraction and they were just like a friendship, and then we would kiss and like share those beautiful moments, and then I would like ghost him for days or even almost a month at one point and just like stop talking to him. I think at the time I was just really not comfortable with myself, and he represented that part of me that I wanted to bury deep. So I kind of resented him for that, which is super bad. My confusion was, I think, legit at the time. I had just come out of a 1-year relationship with a girl that I was absolutely crazy about, and then I like fall completely in love with this guy, and in my mind, I felt like this new relationship or this new me, I guess, was kind of negating all the feelings that I had before and just making me feel like nothing that I had felt before was real. I also was confused because I had kind of a fling with the girl that I cared very much about at that period, and it was just like my brain couldn't comprehend it. I had very, very little exposure to bisexuality at the time. I didn't see it in the media, didn't see it in like celebrities that much, and I 100% didn't see it in my circle. So all the things that I would hear about bisexuality were like, bisexuality is invalid, people need to pick a side, all bisexual boys are just gay, or like stuff like that. So at that point I go from being completely in love with a girl, seeing my future with her, and then completely in love with the guy and just like had no idea what my brain had gone through, and I was just super confused. So it took me a few months at the beginning of our relationship until I started being more comfortable with myself. I just decided that my feelings were okay and that I should just let myself feel whatever I was feeling at the time and just like live the beauty of it. And so that's just what we did for a few months. We just like lived our life and we're happy, and telling others wasn't really a priority. I had just like done that internal work and it had taken a while, and that's what mattered at the time. So while I'm in this relationship with this guy, being like best friends in front of everyone and then behind closed doors being like full-on boyfriends for like a little over a year, I guess people around us starting to notice some things. There was never like a moment where we got caught or anything like that. It was more like a lingering question. So that takes me to the first part of my coming out, which is my best friend Lauren, who lives in Paris. I've known her forever, since like I think elementary school. We were in the same classes. So I went home for winter break. I was studying at Berkeley at the time and went back to Paris for I think a couple of weeks. And we were both at a house party, drinking and just like having fun. And then at one point she asks me if she can talk to me privately. So at this moment I shouldn't freak out, because like we did that a lot at the time, just like when we had to like share something or just catch up because we were going to school in different countries. So it was just like normal, but I 100% knew what was gonna happen. So I just remember going into that bedroom and like we just sit across each other, and she's like the sweetest person in the world. She like started the conversation and was just like, so me and the girls, like a few of my other best friends, have just noticed that you're a little different lately. You seem a little happier. And we were just like wondering if that has anything to do with that guy that you like hanging out with 24/7 all the time. And I don't know, I was just like comfortable, so I was just like, yeah, like we're dating. And then she was just like super happy. We had a few tears and hugged, and then I basically just told her our story, and that was it. Super positive moment, super sweet, like best first coming out. So the next few days I came out to basically all my other best friends in Paris, pretty much every time at a house party, because you gotta keep the pattern, you know? The response was pretty much always positive. I think the one big question that I got from my friends was like, why didn't you tell us earlier? Because I guess it had been a while. To which I could just say I needed to be comfortable with myself first. And I think that's like the most important part, and that took me a while. So these few weeks pass, I go back to school in Berkeley, and then I start coming out to all my friends there. I had no worry at all whatsoever for those, because Berkeley's just such an open environment and everyone is super accepting and everyone is gay. That went really well. At that point I still haven't come out to my family, and my boyfriend wasn't out and wasn't ready to be out, so I didn't like have an urge to take a relationship public or just tell everyone. His situation was a little different. His family has like a different set of beliefs and values, I guess, and he just knew from the beginning that they wouldn't support him or accept it. The good thing is that he had come to terms with it super early on. He was confident, comfortable with himself, but he did like kind of go through the coming out journey with me and my family and my friends. And I know that he like was super happy to see that it was turning out to be fine and like super happy for me. But yeah, so that kind of explains why I was just like in no rush whatsoever. So I am now dating this guy for 2 years. I go back home for summer break, back to Paris. Didn't really choose a moment to come out to my parents, it just kind of happened. I was having kind of a heated conversation or an argument with my mom about personal boundaries and just what you share or don't share. We were arguing and she basically told me, I don't ask you what happens in your bedroom with that boy. To which I answered, well, if you did ask me, I would tell you that we've been dating for 2 years and I'm really happy. The conversation just like stopped and she looked at me and I looked at her and we were like, the pressure just like disappeared and I like started sobbing. She like jumped and came to hug me and it was like a really sweet moment. I just like, hey, how it happened or like what brought it to be, but it turned out to be just fine. And so we ended up having like a 2-hour conversation after that. My dad was downstairs, so I just like went down and I was like, hey dad, I need to tell you something. And then he's like, okay, let's grab breakfast tomorrow morning. And I'm like, Okay. So we ended up grabbing breakfast, just the two of us, in a little restaurant, or I think it was lunch. It was like the sweetest thing. We like spent 3 hours talking and talking and talking about like me and my identity, sexuality, how I felt, my relationship. He was like the most open, most like, just like best dad in the world, and it was just a beautiful moment and it was perfect. So at that point, both my mom and my dad had asked me if I was going to tell my older brother, who's 3 years older than me, and to which I said that I didn't think I was or he was ready at the time, and that I just wouldn't for now, which is probably the biggest regret I have in this story. I guess my brother and I's relationship got a lot better at that time. We were getting a lot closer than we were when we were younger. We used to fight all the time, and we were like bonding over like Call of Duty and GTA and talking about girls, and I didn't want to lose that, and I was just like scared. And then there was another part of me that was scared because I would start going out a lot with my brother and his friends, and whenever one of his friends would like call me feminine or like make fun of me or call me gay, my brother's first reaction would be to tell them to fuck off and that I had more girls than any of his friends had. And I know that he was reacting that way in like a protective older brother mode, and that's like the sweetest thing. But in my mind, I was just telling myself, oh, like your first reaction isn't to tell him that it's okay or like that it doesn't matter that I would be into guys or like, and I don't know, it just like scared me, and I felt like he just wasn't ready, even though at that time it was obviously becoming a pattern that me not telling someone was just 100% me being scared and not confident and thinking that they were going to take it wrong when everyone was just 100% fine and didn't care at all. That summer, I went back to school without having told my brother. And there's one last very important person that I had to come out to, and I think it was the scariest, even scarier than my parents. My grandma and I have always been super, super close. I spent a lot of time with her growing up, and I cared a lot about what she thought of me, and I wanted to make her proud in every single way. My grandma is from Algeria, moved to France when she was 19, I believe. So was raised with a different culture, obviously a different generation, so I think the things that she was exposed to were a lot different from what I experienced. But I also knew that everyone that I had talked to had a good reaction, and I knew that she loved me so much and cared about me so much that I probably wouldn't change anything. So one morning I was staying at her house, and I woke up early, went to the living room, and I was like, hey grandma, I need to talk about something. So we both like sat down, and I just like told her, and I don't think she was really surprised. I don't think anyone was, but I did get a few of the questions that I was expecting, like, are you sure? Maybe it's just a phase. What about your children? Like, how is that gonna happen? But I know that those questions were like rooted in her being scared that like society wouldn't accept me and just like wanting to protect me. And now she's come such a long way. She watches all my videos, hi grandma, and like it's just the best thing in the world now. And so the brother situation just like kind of solved itself out. In the next few months, I ended up like having a really casual conversation with him, and he was super supportive and like loves me more than anything and doesn't care. And I'm an idiot because I was scared for everyone, and everyone turned out to be the best, most accepting, loving people in the world. So I am dumb. So I guess that's it for like my coming out story in terms of the people that I was close with. Then I wasn't out on social media for another year and a half. I fell in love with Sal like so hard that I like wanted to share it with everyone and like scream it. I also had some really, really good conversations with my friend Patrick, who helped me kind of make sense of what I was feeling, was sharing his experience, and like just made me feel like I was a part of the community, which I was lacking at the time. And finally, the last thing that made me want to share it was a few of the conversations that I had with my friends in real life. Just like me sharing my experience made them a lot more comfortable and happier with themselves, and I just felt like that could be multiplied. So now I just like annoy everyone with my rainbow everywhere and with my stories in hopes that it can help at least one person. Alright, so now I do want to say that I know that as a bi cisgender male, my experience is probably one of the easiest that I could have had. I was surrounded by the best people, most open, loving community that I could have ever dreamt of. But I do want to say that if your experience is different, or if you just like, sometimes coming out just never feels comfortable or safe, and that's fine. I think the biggest message that I have would be that the most important part is taking the time to be comfortable with yourself. That's the thing that I struggle with the most, and when I finally beat that demon, nothing else mattered. I just want to tell you that whether you come out, don't come out, or are confused or know exactly what you feel, the community that you have out there is huge and supportive, and we all love you very much. I don't know what else to say. That's my coming out story. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode of my Pride series for this Pride month. Next week, we're going to be sitting down with my boyfriend Sal for his coming out story. So don't forget to tune in for that if you want to see his cute dimples and just like his beautiful self just talk for a few minutes. All right, bye. Love you guys.